shit, we're already fighting things. Okay. Hello, back to the fray. Alright, so, this place is called MSM, or Mare Sacro Monastery, and it is the first 5-man dungeon. I have completed it a couple of times, and both times that I have completed it, one is the time I was taught to complete it, and the other was the time that I taught others to complete it. So, this place is the first difficult area of the game. I'm going to go ahead and just say that. And it's pretty hard. It requires really good tanking, which I think we're going to have, because this knight, I have not seen a knight tank this yet, but I assume that that works out very well. They seem to be quite good. And then it requires overwhelming DPS and coordination of DPS, which can be a challenge for a lot of people who do not, or who have not had to really focus on any specific targets or choose what they need to focus on, like as a DPS who is trying to like run a dungeon and do that type of normal stuff. I choose to be the gunner for a large portion of this, and then at the first, or I suppose second, like major area, I switched to Berserker because there are some inherent advantages there to having AoE, and then for like regularly people that don't have access to the Berserker and the Gunner, I would suggest probably being the Cryomancer the whole way, because they have a good balance of being ranged and then also having the capability to do large AoEs. I unfortunately don't have the Cryomancer leveled, or actually I would probably be playing them as well, but I do just fine. And we're probably going to wipe here because none of us talked about this. I always focus on the swords first because you should, and the ads are just going to die anyway. And always launch all my missiles, try and get this shit done in here. Basically trying to do as much as I can. It seems our tank is focused on the defensive minion there, which is no good for us. And I'm going to switch it up and attack the other DPS, because it seems like we're focusing on them. It's hard to tell because like, whenever you don't communicate, it gets very difficult very quickly. Usually. It's gonna seem like this knight is actually like gonna just go super hard and tank the shit out of this, though. I have not seen any knight gameplay. It appears to be some really crazy good shit. Okay, so, yeah, that went way better than normal. Usually if your tank is not as good as this tank, you want to focus the swords down first, after the tiny mobs, and then get rid of their tank. She just kinda went for it, and it worked out really well. So this is basically the cleanest run so far that I've had of this. So there's that. And then in this area, okay, so the special thing about this like Aqueduct area is that the only enemies you need to kill here are the Naga, which are the like women snake type creatures. And then other than that, you have Krakens in the area, which are large monsters that you'll want to pull and face alone. Usually pull them back into this hallway, where they cannot have your team accidentally aggro in more groups, because that will normally result in a wipe. And you can see the Kraken back there, and then a group of the small enemies who are being pulled right now. We're doing this the smart way, which is good to know. It seems we have pulled one other there. I'm gonna launch all these rockets to maybe try and get some of this burned down. We're wearing out of the heat already. Alright. Tiny enemies have been burned down. Yeah, it seems like... It really seems like this Lightbinder and this tank have been working together for a while. They seem like they know what they are doing, for sure. But yeah, mostly it's the tank's job to pull. I'm not sure if the knight has any ranged abilities that they could use for this. We're probably going to pull this Kraken. It is what we're going to do. Launch these mortars over here. On the Krakens, you're going to want to just like burst them down like as hard as you can. They actually do relatively low damage by themselves because I think they don't really have any like big AoE to like burn your whole team with. So if the tank doesn't die, your team is super, super safe. And with this knight, it seems like it is not going to be much of an issue for them to not die, especially with this Lightbinder, which is shielding them just super well. And we're just going to be able to burn the Kraken to the ground. Normally I would be using my overheat on this, but I actually don't feel like it's that necessary at this point. My overheat is like my number 2. It's like my high damage mode, essentially. It lets me do heat conversion faster as the gunner. Okay, so this is probably going to be the hard part here. Usually is ether crystals. This is also the first place where you can get ether crystals, which unlock more amulet slots after your first one, which is very, very important. Alright, I'm gonna go after this sword. Oh, and you're gonna want to stay out of the water, absolutely, like no matter what. So if you notice it around your feet, immediately move. I'm gonna activate my shield just in case. And you really just want to like burst down the DPSs as fast as possible while avoiding the water on the ground, because the Nagas are very good at if you don't notice the water, it does enough damage to usually kill you, like almost certainly for the most part. Also, it's important to note that a lot of people don't realize this, I think, before coming here. I've told a lot of people this and they were surprised. You can tab to lock on whenever you're fighting multiple targets, and it's incredibly useful. So, for those of you that are maybe frustrated about that stuff, and then F1 through 5, if you're playing as a Lightbinder, that is how you lock on to teammates. So if you need to focus on the tank and be constantly healing them, that is how you would lock onto your tank. And be constantly like putting your shields up and such, not necessarily healing them. I think the Alchemist might be the only class that can actually have like a direct heal on a friendly like unit. And we are actually doing amazing right now. This is the best this run has ever gone. I think it's because we kind of all know what we're doing. We're just going to avoid that Kraken. Like I said, the Nagas are the only thing in this area that we actually need to fight. Actually don't know what the Hawk thing is. I don't know what's going on with that. We have Cryomancer, our tank. I assume it's our tank's ability, because we have 2 Cryomancers and myself. I'm not doing the Hawks, and I don't think Hawks are an ice thing. Possibly a Lightbinder's skill. But I don't know about that. I have not had a Knight tank before, and it's something that I'm enjoying currently. Oop, like this. Getting your rank ups done in this dungeon is actually real, like, because this dungeon is like pretty long, all things considered. Getting those blue quests in the top right that are specific to the dungeon that you're instanced in is usually pretty important. I'm going to focus on this Naga because it is closer. Just try and bomb it out. Pop a shield. And as a DPS in this scenario, based on what I know from the Cryomancer's point of view, you're going to want... Oh shit, I see I'm standing in the water. That's sucking me up. And then, like, in these areas, it's really easy to know. Alright, there we go. Yeah, you absolutely want to focus the swords down. And then if the this guy specifically, this little defensive unit, he can pull everyone in, immediately dodge away at all costs. It will insta-kill the shit out of you. Like that. You want to immediately get as far away as you can, because that bubble will ruin your life forever. Acolyte medallions, some credits. I'm actually at my limit for a lot of sparks and class sparks and stuff for this week because I've been playing excessively. But I've gained a lot of prestige. If you look in my bottom left, I'm at over 4,000, which I feel like is a pretty good goal, or a pretty good point of success, I suppose. And then I'm going to I'm going to use my missiles here. As a gunner, I find it is good to just burst that out, like, right at the beginning of a fight, because a lot of the weaker enemies won't be able to handle even, like, 1 or 2 missiles a lot of the time. Like that. Grab all of these. Then Acolyte Medallion and Fighter's Amulets and stuff, that's stuff that's used for, I'm pretty sure those are used in the, this stuff, the order, that's the word I was looking for. And these guys, you'll generally get ether crystals. 100 ether crystals equals 1 amulet slot. This is very useful. And then this is where I'm going to switch it up, or try to really quickly. Damn it, I am in combat. That's okay. With this group how it is, it might actually be fine. This tank is doing a really very good job. Oops, there we go. Flamethrower. Yeah, the important thing in this dungeon is to burn the swords down. A lot of the time, that is, like, if your tank is super overpowered, that might not be required, and you might want to get rid of, like, these special ability enemies first. But generally, the swords are going to be what you want to kill because they're the high DPS creatures. And then getting these slightly lower DPS creatures down is not a big deal. Also, another point that is important, always let your tank grab those health orbs, because, like, yeah, like always let your tank grab them if they need them. Like, if everyone is at full health except for you, go ahead and grab them, but otherwise, there is no excuse to be taking health from your tank, just because that simply doesn't make sense. They're the one that is trying to keep aggro, and in this case, doing an amazing job of it. There we go. Couldn't get to the targeting for the Tides ONG, whatever that is. Oh, thank you, Cryomancer. I really wish I had my, like, high DPS, like, focus ray thing that I can get for the plasma beam. I've been working on my gunner a lot lately, just because it's nice to be able to switch up to ranged if I need it. In the final boss of this specifically, it's very helpful, and I was standing on one of the water puddles. This is that damage I was talking about. Oh god, please no. Please no why. Oh god. Okay, well, I barely survived that, so... Yeah, that's why you don't want to get caught by that. Clearly shown that now. Get rid of these little guys. Also, don't be afraid to use your executions on the smaller enemies. It is absolutely worth it if you just need to get them off your back. Alright, now we get rid of their defensive unit. I'm going to grab just this health orb, just so that I'm out of instant kill range. Okay, grab this, grab this. Also remember that you have AoE skills. A lot of the time it is easy to forget and use a lot of single target on the smaller enemies. AoE is usually always better. Going back for a bit of regeneration, absolutely. The boss in this next area infinitely spawns the Murlocs, and you want to immediately burn them down like as fast as you possibly can. I'm going to go Berserker. Damn it! Launch fire over there. Hopefully I'm able to switch and it's not just going to be all in combat all the time. Maybe? Maybe? No, it's sending too many units at us. That's unfortunate. The Berserker is very useful in this next area. I'm going to catch up here a little bit. AoE is not super strong for the gunner. You have a lot of like more like just raw DPS on single targets, and I don't have my flamethrower move that is more for the larger groups. As I said, stragglers, don't be afraid to use your big shit. Go. Gonna try and immediately help burn these guys down. It appears that knights are amazing. Simply outstanding. So this is gonna go about as good as it possibly can. Paladins will have a little bit more trouble, just based on what I have seen so far. And they will need to circle tank a little bit more. I know a knight is more of an in-place tank, just based on like doing the tutorial and like reading their skills. So they stay in place a lot more, which actually turns out to be really good for this specific scenario. Tiny ones. I keep wanting to call them Murlocs, just because I've been playing a bit of Hearthstone recently. There we go. Alright, it looks like this is going to be a really smooth run, because this is actually the hardest boss in here. So, if you do get stuck on this boss, I would suggest trying to push on through. Because if you get past this boss, I think the final is hilariously easy. It's good to note the ads for this boss fight actually don't go away immediately after he is killed. They stick around. So don't immediately get cocky, because if you, like, barely get past this, then you might just wipe. I don't think the boss would come back, but yeah. It's a thing to watch out for, to not want to die. And then on this boss, range is king, is what I have found out, basically. We have this small room of murlocs. I'm just going to call them murlocs because I think that's a thing that's recognizable to a lot of MMO players. These guys are just, like, these are just nothing, essentially. Like, it's just these little guys and bleh. Like, they don't do anything special. There's just a big swarm of them. Aggroing them all at once would maybe not be, like, the greatest idea ever. But if your tanking is sufficient, then, like, you can kind of just do whatever you want, to be honest with you. Next to me. So this is actually going incredibly smooth. I'm glad I'm moving towards the knight on the tree, seeing that they can tank this so well. Maybe it is the knight that's doing the eagle thing. Interesting. Okay, so I think we have almost all of them done. Okay. That's your necklace. Alright. So now we're gonna regen, and then... Okay, so the special thing about this boss is that, every 5 or so health bars, she will summon 2 clones and then put a bubble around herself that does massive damage. It is super important to kill the clones as fast as possible and to focus on one, because they have a fair bit of health. And then other than that, she'll summon geysers, and you'll want to avoid them. And it's very, very simple. She has 20 health bars, but I think her health is deceptively barred, as in she doesn't have a lot of, like... She doesn't have a lot of health, like it seems, but she just has a lot of bars. Oh, and those are the geysers. Gonna want to pop out of those. The geysers have a slightly deceptively large hitbox, so even if you think you're like right on the edge of it, I would suggest dodging anyway, just to be safe, of course. And then if you have defensive abilities, don't use them during this stage if you're not the tank, because whenever the clones come up, they are actually far more dangerous in terms of damage to the DPSs, just because of their attacks. They have like a mortar style attack that is like a bombardment that you'll want to avoid. Over here in the corner, if you get behind these pillars, they won't be able to target you, and they lose targeting whenever they're targeting you with it. So that's what I use to get out of the way of those, just because it is very reliable. And then other than that, this boss fight is pretty easy peasy compared to the other one, even though it doesn't seem that way. See this arrow that is on me right now? That's the mortars. They lose targeting. I come right back out. And you're going to want to watch for your teammates being mortared as well, because you can be hit by the same ones. Done. Thank you. I'm gonna go into mortar mode. No, I'm not. Break line of sight to lose targeting. I'm just gonna strafe this one because it's almost dead. Then she comes back up and she'll immediately geyser everyone's exact locations, it appears. and it has always seemed that way. Also, she can put those little traps you can see on this far left side here. Those are the, like, bubble lifts, I'm fairly certain. I have not been hit by them, and I haven't seen anyone walk into them, because they're very blatantly obvious. And we lost one of our DPSs, which we should still be fine, minus the DPS. It just means that the second wave of clones is going to be way harder. The big thing is, like, losing your tank here is, like, pretty much devastating. A little hard to get the mortars off as a gunner whenever the geysers are around. But nonetheless, they're pretty effective at dealing some good damage. Oh, we've got... I'm gonna decide to go over here away from my teammates and just take the mortars as they come. Walk onto the appropriate target. Generally speaking, it's not too hard to avoid them. And if you dodge whenever you know that they've fired it and they cannot, like, readjust their aim, usually you're out of the way. Okay, and then now we're back. And we should... I don't think she will summon any more clones. I'm pretty sure that is her last wave, that she only has 2. It's worth noting that this right here, this is the cleanest run I have done of this place yet. This is going outstanding, even though we had, like, 1 person die. Usually this dungeon, in my experience, in, like, the last 2 times I've actually been able to complete it and not had the entire group just quit and give up, you would wipe, like, 3 or 4 times, and then you'd get the scenario right, and then it would, like, you'd be done. But a lot of the time, it does not go nearly as smoothly as this. And I got a new gunner amulet. And then tons of the points of mastery, and I got 43 holy texts, which is replacing what would normally be a shitload of marks, or sparks, rather. The first time I ran this, I was not at my cap for sparks yet, and I think I got about 2,000 of the green sparks, which for anyone that is just starting out, yes, it is a lot. It is a very significant amount. But yeah, that is MSM, and that is the cleanest run I have done yet of it. This is a mission that is the first one that I ever ran into where you could get ether cores, which is how you unlock your amulet slots, which I'll show off right now. Equipment, gunner amulets. Actually, that's a better amulet than I had, I think. Plasma field, and then full auto, more damage. Yeah, that's better than what I have. Okay, so I'll pop that on, actually. And then more amulet slots can be gained with these ether crystals, and you need 100 of them, and it'll give you an amulet slot. And then you have 4 amulet slots, so at some point you will need 300 of those to get the rest of your amulet slots, and then I'm not exactly sure what you would use them for after that. I imagine at some point they go away. And then also this place, generally, like, you get amulets from here, usually for whatever class you happen to be playing. The rings here that I've seen are okay. And then hand cannon and, like, the weapons here are pretty high tier. The weapon that I'm using currently is from here, and it is pretty good. 171 is not bad at all. But let's see what I get from the rewards aside from all that stuff. Because sometimes... Nope, I didn't get any bags, goodies, or anything. And S rank. Yeah, as expected. Like, we got all of our side quests done, which is what influences rank. Group bonus, victory reward, all that stuff. And I got a ton of holy texts.